Let's talk Tanya for the 30th of Nisan of a leap year. Yesterday we spoke about the love for God, kibrod di ishtadl, looking at God as our Father, and therefore experiencing a love for God as if He's our Father. And this is a completely selfless and altruistic love, because what we do for our parents is not for any benefit, but we do it simply because they're our parents, and we have a love which is a selfless love towards them. But as we pointed out yesterday, this is the kind of love that Moshe Rabbeinu had. Can we have this love? And the answer is no, we can't really have this love, but we can have enough of this love in order to motivate us to actually do the right thing, to learn Torah, to do mitzvahs. As we said yesterday, bilevavcha la'asoisei, we can have enough feeling to inspire us to act, but it's not really a feeling. In my mind, I'm thinking, God is my Father, God is my Father, and that motivates me to act, and that is enough. That's the what. But the why and the how. Why is that enough? Especially since in previous chapters, we spoke about the importance of having feelings when we do mitzvahs, because the feelings that we have become the wings, which allow the mitzvahs to soar to higher worlds. But if I don't really have a feeling, if it's just a thought that's in my head, is that enough to infuse my mitzvah with a spiritual content and allow it to soar to the higher worlds? So Alter Rebbe says yes, and he cites an interesting statement of our sages, actually something which the Alter Rebbe also spoke about earlier on in Tanya in chapter 16. It says, Machshava toiva HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzarfa l'maisa, which means, in a very simple sense, that a good thought God considers as if it was an action, as if it was a deed. Again, on a very simple level, what this means is that if a person had a good thought to do a mitzvah, but for whatever reason, due to circumstances beyond one's control, the person was prevented from doing that mitzvah, so that you get the credit as if you did that mitzvah. So let's say you invited a bunch of people over for a Shabbos meal, and then at the last minute they canceled. So you get the credit as if you did the mitzvah because you had the good thought. However, the Alter Rebbe points out, the wording over here of the sages is interesting. It doesn't say that God considers it as if the deed was done, but if you want to take a literal approach to the words, it's machshava tova, a good thought. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzarfa l'maisa, God adds to the deed, or God joins to the deed. What does that mean? The Alter Rebbe explains, sometimes you don't have the feeling, but you have the good thought. I'm thinking God is my Father, God is my Father, or God is my life, God is my life. I don't have the feeling. What God does then, He takes that good thought, He adds it or joins it to the deed, and that allows the mitzvah to soar to the higher worlds. So even if I don't have the feeling in my heart, but if I can actually focus on that in my mind, that is enough to elevate the mitzvah to where it belongs. With this, we've concluded the discussion, or the basic discussion of the two hybrid loves. And let's recap. We're talking here about love of God. We started out with the highest level of love, which is Ava Rabba, the great love, which is a gift from God, is experiencing God, which is only given to tzaddikim, to holy people. Then we spoke about a lower level of love, which is Avas Olam, which is a love which is born of contemplation, and that's something which is accessible to everyone. In this chapter, we had even more accessible levels of love, which is the hybrid loves, because to contemplate God's greatness and to create a love is more difficult. But the hybrid loves are not requiring me to actually create a love. I'm tapping into my existing love for my life, my existing love for God as my Father, and thereby experiencing that love for God. So as we see, we're going down the ladder, and as we continue in the coming chapters, we're going to keep on going down that ladder and talking about loves for God, which are more and more accessible. So again, so far we've spoken about the great love, Avarabba, Avas Olam, the lower love, and these two hybrid loves. Now, even though these two hybrid loves are lower than the previous two levels, or at least so it would seem, in tomorrow's Tanya, we're going to find out how in a certain way, in a certain aspect, the hybrid loves are even greater than the loves that we spoke about earlier.